The average British family bins nearly £1,000 of food a year. That's a fortnight's shop straight into the wheelie bin every single year, while the freezer sits half empty, humming away, doing nothing. But your gran never wasted a scrap, and it wasn't because she had more money. She had tricks. Number 14 on this list is something the big supermarkets quietly hope you never learn, because it turns one bag of shopping into 2 weeks of dinners. And number 3 sounds mad the first time you hear it, but food scientists now know exactly why it works. These 25 tricks cost you nothing to try and could halve your grocery bill by Friday. Before we start, hit subscribe, because this might be the most useful 10 minutes you spend all week. Let's count down. Number 25. Freeze your milk before it turns. Most of us pour milk down the sink the day the date runs out, but milk freezes beautifully if you catch it in time. Take a pint out of a 4-pint bottle first so there's room for it to expand, then pop the whole lot in the freezer flat. It'll keep for a month, no bother. The only rule is thaw it slowly in the fridge overnight, never on the counter, and give it a proper shake when it's liquid again, because the fats and water separate as it freezes. It comes back a touch grainier for tea, but for cereal, baking and cooking, it's identical. A 4-pint bottle costs around £1.65. That's £1.65 you were about to throw away, rescued in 10 seconds flat. And it means you can jump on the 2-for-1 offers without the second bottle turning before you reach it. Buy when it's cheap, freeze the spare, and you've a fortnight of milk sorted from a single shop. Number 24. Toast your bread straight from frozen. Half a loaf goes mouldy in the bread bin before most families finish it, and mould is the fastest waste in any British kitchen. So don't keep bread in the bread bin at all. Keep it in the freezer and toast the slices from frozen, no defrosting needed. The toaster does both jobs at once, and the bread actually stays fresher because freezing halts the staling process cold. It comes out crisp on the outside, soft in the middle, exactly like a fresh loaf. You can freeze crumpets, bagels, pitas, and wraps the same way. A loaf lasts 3 months in the freezer instead of 3 days in the bin. Your gran would have called this madness. Now it's the single easiest way to stop chucking bread. Number 23. Grate your cheese and freeze it loose. A block of cheddar goes hard, sweaty and sometimes furry, long before you get through it. The fix is to grate the whole block the day you buy it. Tip it into a freezer bag and freeze it. It freezes in loose shreds, so you can grab a handful for a jacket potato, a cheese sauce, or a topping straight from frozen with no defrosting. It melts perfectly because the grating's already done. A big block from Aldi costs about £3.50, and this way not a gram of it goes to waste. The texture changes slightly, so it's best cooked rather than eaten cold. But for toasties, pasta bakes and cauliflower cheese, it's flawless. 1 block, stretched across a fortnight, melting into whatever needs it. Number 22. Store your leaves in a tea towel, not the bag. Bagged salad is the biggest con in the fridge. It comes swimming in its own moisture and turns to slime within days, which is exactly why it never lasts. Tip the leaves out, wrap them loosely in a clean, dry tea towel, and pop the bundle back in the salad drawer. The cotton wicks away the moisture that makes leaves rot, and they'll stay crisp for a week, sometimes longer. Same works for a whole lettuce, spinach or rocket. A bag of salad costs around £1, and usually half of it goes brown. This trick means you actually eat the whole lot, and it takes 20 seconds. Your gran wrapped her lettuce in a damp cloth for the same reason, long before anyone thought to seal it in plastic. Number 21. Keep mushrooms in paper, never plastic. Mushrooms come from the shop in a plastic punnet with a film lid, and that's precisely what turns them slimy and black within days. Mushrooms are mostly water, and they need to breathe. Trapped in plastic, they sweat, and that trapped moisture rots them fast. Tip them into a paper bag instead, roll the top over, and keep them in the fridge. The paper lets them breathe and absorbs the damp, so they stay firm and pale for well over a week. A punnet costs around £1, and this simple swap doubles their life. If you've no paper bag, a bit of kitchen roll in a bowl does the same job. It's the difference between mushrooms on toast on day 9 and a slimy grey mess in the bin on day 3. And if you've a glut you can't get through, slice them and freeze them raw, then cook from frozen straight into a stir-fry or a stroganoff. They never go to waste again. Number 20. Freeze bananas the moment they go spotty. Every fruit bowl in Britain has the same tragedy playing out. 3 bananas going brown and soft while nobody eats them. Don't bin them. Peel them, break them in half, and freeze them in a bag. Frozen banana is the secret to a thick, creamy smoothie with no ice needed, and it's the whole basis of banana bread. In fact, banana bread works best with the darkest, ugliest, most overripe bananas, the ones you'd normally throw out because they're at their sweetest. A bunch costs under £1. This one trick turns the most wasted fruit in the country into free puddings and breakfasts for weeks. The spottier the banana, the better it bakes. Waste turned into cake. First pattern break. Here's where it gets clever. Number 19. Freeze wine, stock and gravy in ice cube trays. That last splash of wine left in the bottle. The stock from your Sunday joint. The gravy nobody finished. All of it goes down the sink in most homes. Instead, pour it into an ice cube tray and freeze. Each cube is roughly a tablespoon, so you can drop 1 or 2 straight into a bolognese, a risotto or a casserole for instant depth of flavor. Wine cubes turn a cheap ragu into something that tastes like it's simmered all day. Gravy cubes rescue a dry midweek dinner in seconds. Once frozen, pop the cubes into a labeled bag and reuse the tray. This is exactly how restaurant kitchens build flavor, and it costs you nothing but the 2 minutes it takes to pour. Nothing thrown away. Everything saved for later. Number 18. Freeze eggs when they're near the date. Most people don't know you can freeze eggs at all, but you can, just not in the shell. Crack them into a bowl, give them a gentle whisk to combine the yolk and white, then pour into an ice cube tray, 1 egg per section. Freeze, then bag them up. 1 cube equals 1 egg for baking or scrambling. If you want to keep whites and yolks separate for meringues or custards, freeze them in separate trays. A box of 6 from Lidl costs under £1, and this means a bargain multi-pack never goes to waste again. Frozen eggs keep for up to 10 months. Buy the big box on offer, freeze what you won't use in time, and never scramble in a panic on date day again. Number 17. Revive limp veg in ice water. Carrots gone bendy, celery gone rubbery, spring onions gone sad. Before you bin them, drop them in a bowl of ice-cold water for half an hour. Wilting happens when vegetables lose water, and cold water lets them drink it back in through osmosis, turning them crisp and snappable again. Carrots come back like new, celery goes crunchy, herbs perk up in minutes. It works on almost anything green or root. A bag of carrots costs around 50 pence, and half of them usually go floppy at the back of the drawer. This trick means you rescue the lot. Your gran did this without knowing the science. She just knew cold water brought a tired vegetable back to life. She was right, and now we know why. Number 16. Store potatoes and onions apart. This one quietly ruins shopping in kitchens all over Britain. Onions release moisture and gases that make potatoes sprout and go soft far faster, and potatoes do the same back to onions. Keep them in the same cupboard, and you'll be throwing both out within the week. Store them separately, both somewhere cool, dark, and airy. Never in the fridge and never in plastic, and they'll last for weeks. Potatoes in a paper or hessian sack, onions in a mesh bag or open bowl. A big bag of spuds costs about £1.50 and should last a fortnight easily. Keep them apart from the onions, and it will. It's the smallest change on this list and one of the ones that saves the most. Number 15. Freeze your herbs in oil. A bunch of fresh basil, coriander or parsley costs the best part of £1, and you use a third of it before the rest turns to black slime in the fridge. Don't let it. Chop the herbs, pack them into an ice cube tray, top each section with a little olive oil, and freeze. The oil protects the herbs from freezer burn and locks in the flavor and color. When you're cooking, drop a frozen cube straight into the hot pan and it melts into an instant hit of fresh herb and oil. Perfect for sofrito, curries and sauces. Rosemary, thyme and sage work brilliantly this way too. 1 bunch portioned into a dozen cubes, seasoning your cooking for a month instead of rotting in 3 days. Number 14. Blanch and freeze your veg before it turns. Second pattern break. This is the big one. The trick that genuinely stretches one shop into 2 weeks. When your veg drawer is overflowing and half of it's about to go, don't wait for it to spoil. Blanch it. Drop broccoli, beans, carrots or peas into boiling water for 2 to 3 minutes. Then straight into ice water to stop the cooking, drain, and freeze. That quick boil kills the enzymes that make vegetables lose color, texture and nutrients, which is why frozen veg you blanch yourself tastes so much fresher than veg you just chuck in raw. Supermarkets sell you frozen veg at a premium and hope you never realize you can do it yourself for a fraction of the price. A veg box costs a few pounds. Blanch the surplus, and it feeds you for a fortnight, not a weekend. Number 13. Open freeze your berries and grapes. Tip a punnet of strawberries or raspberries into a bag and freeze it, and you get one solid, useless lump. The trick is to open freeze them first. Spread the berries in a single layer on a baking tray, freeze until solid, then tip the loose frozen fruit into a bag. Now you can grab a handful at a time for smoothies, porridge or crumbles, with none of them stuck together. Grapes done this way become an amazing snack straight from the freezer, like little sorbet marbles, and they chill a glass of wine without watering it down. A punnet of berries costs around £2 and usually goes fuzzy within days. Open freeze it the day you buy it and you've got fruit ready whenever you want it, for months. Number 12. Store eggs pointy end down. Eggs actually last longer if you store them the right way up, and almost nobody does. Keep them pointy end down, rounded end up, because the air cell sits at the round end, and pointing it upward keeps the yolk centered and away from that pocket of air, which slows spoiling. Keep them in their box too, not in the fancy egg holder in the fridge door. The box protects them from absorbing fridge smells, and the door is the warmest, most temperature-swinging spot in the whole fridge, the worst place for anything you want to keep. A box of eggs stored properly in the coldest part of the fridge easily outlasts its date by a couple of weeks. And if you're ever unsure, drop one in a glass of water, a fresh egg sinks and lies flat, a bad one floats. It costs nothing to turn them the right way round, and it means a bargain box never beats you to the bin. Number 11. Keep bananas away from everything else. Bananas are the troublemaker of the fruit bowl. They give off ethylene gas, the invisible ripening signal, and it makes everything sitting near them ripen and rot faster. Apples, pears, tomatoes, the lot. Keep your bananas in their own spot, well away from the rest of your fruit, and everything lasts longer. Better still, split the bananas from the bunch, because they even ripen each other slower apart, and wrap the stalks in a bit of cling film to trap the gas at the source. Your apples stay crisp for weeks, your tomatoes hold firm, and the whole bowl stops turning at once. It's the reason your fruit always seems to go off in a rush, all at the same time. Move the bananas and you break the chain. Number 10. Freeze cheese, butter and cream. Third pattern. Break. Dairy is where the real savings hide because it's expensive and it's always on offer in bulk. Butter freezes for months with zero change, so when it's 2 for the price of 1, buy it and freeze the spare. Cream freezes fine if you're going to cook with it, stir it into sauces and soups straight from thawed. Hard cheeses freeze well, soft ones like brie a little less so, but grated and cooked, they're all fine. Even milk, as we covered, takes to the freezer happily. Your gran couldn't do most of this, she was working with a tiny icebox or a cold pantry. You've got a full freezer sitting there half empty, fill it when things are cheap, and you're buying a fortnight of dairy at half the price. Number 9. Freeze ginger, chilies and garlic whole. Fresh ginger costs a fortune, and you use a knob of it, then the rest shrivels into a wrinkled brown stub at the back of the drawer. So, freeze it whole, skin on, in a bag. Frozen ginger is actually easier to use. You grate it straight from frozen on a fine grater, and the skin falls away as you go, no peeling. Chilies freeze whole and chop while still frozen, no watering eyes. Garlic can be frozen peeled, and lemongrass and turmeric take to it too. A knob of ginger costs pennies, but it's pennies wasted every week when it goes off. Frozen, it lasts for months, and you only ever use exactly what you need. All that expensive fresh flavor on tap, and none of it thrown away. Number 8. Batch cook and freeze in portions. This is the heart of making a shop last a fortnight. When you're making a bolognese, a chili, a curry or a soup, make double, and freeze the second half in single portions. Flat freezer bags are the trick here. Fill them, squeeze the air out, lay them flat to freeze, and they stack like books, taking up almost no room. You've done the cooking once and used the hob once, but you've made 2 dinners. On the nights you can't be bothered, there's a homemade meal ready in minutes, and that's the night you'd normally order a takeaway. A batch of bolognese costs a few quid and makes 6 portions. Cook once a week, freeze the halves, and by the fortnight's end, you've a freezer full of dinners and money still in your pocket. Number 7. Freeze bacon and sausages separated by baking paper. Buy a big pack of bacon on offer and you're committed to eating all 12 rashers before they turn, or freezing it as one welded brick you can't break apart. The fix is to lay a strip of baking paper between each rasher or roll them individually, then freeze. Now you can peel off 2 rashers for a Saturday sandwich and leave the rest frozen. Sausages, chops and burgers do the same. Freeze them spaced out on a tray first, then bag them, and they won't stick together. A big pack of bacon is far cheaper per rasher than a small one, and this way the saving's real because none of it goes to waste. Buy big, freeze smart, and cook exactly what you fancy. Number 6. Keep carrots and celery in water in the fridge. Cut carrots and celery dry out and go bendy within days, but stored in water, they stay crunchy for 2 weeks or more. Peel or chop your carrots into batons, drop them in a tub of cold water, lid on, and keep it in the fridge. Same for celery. Change the water every few days and they stay snappable and fresh far longer than they ever would loose in the drawer. It also means the veg prep's already done, so a healthy snack or a quick stir-fry is ready to go with no chopping. A bag of carrots costs 50p, and this doubles or triples how long it lasts. It's how the veg on a restaurant prep station stays perfect all service, and it works exactly the same in your fridge at home. Number 5. Freeze tomato paste and other bits by the spoonful. 4th pattern break. It's the little leftovers that quietly cost you. The half tin of tomato paste, the last of the coconut milk, the bit of pesto, all destined to grow a green fur in the fridge and get binned. So portion them out. Dollop tablespoons of tomato paste onto a lined tray, freeze and bag the frozen blobs. Pour leftover coconut milk or passata into ice cube trays. Now every recipe that needs a spoonful has one ready, and you never open a whole tin for a teaspoon again. It sounds fiddly, but it's 5 minutes that saves a pound here and a pound there, week after week. That's the real secret to a shop lasting a fortnight. It isn't one big trick. It's refusing to waste the small stuff everyone else throws away. Number 4. Get your fridge temperature right. Here's the one that quietly wrecks everything else, and hardly anyone checks it. Your fridge should sit between 0 and 5 degrees, and most British fridges run warmer than that, closer to 7 or 8, which means your food spoils days early no matter how cleverly you store it. Buy a cheap fridge thermometer, sit it on the middle shelf, and adjust the dial until it reads under 5. Keep raw meat on the bottom shelf where it's coldest, dairy and eggs in the body of the fridge, not the door, and don't cram it so full the air can't circulate. Get the temperature right and everything on this list works better. It's the foundation. A thermometer costs a couple of pounds, and it might be the best couple of pounds you spend on your food bill all year. Number 3. Freeze eggs in their shell? No, but freeze your cake. It sounds like a joke, freezing a finished cake, but it's one of the smartest things you can do. Bake a Victoria sponge, a batch of scones, or a tray of flapjacks, and freeze half. Baked goods freeze superbly. The freezing locks them at their freshest moment, and they thaw in an hour, tasting exactly as they did coming out of the oven. Slice a loaf cake first so you can take one piece at a time. Scones warm from frozen in the oven in minutes. This means you bake once, and you've got homemade treats for a fortnight instead of stale leftovers by Wednesday, and no reason to buy expensive shop cake. A homemade sponge costs pennies to make. Freezing half of it means the second half is just as good a week later. Number 2. Use your butter wrappers and freeze your citrus. 2 quiet savers in one. Never throw away a butter wrapper, there's always a smear of butter clinging to it, so fold them and keep them in the fridge door, then use them to grease a cake tin or a roasting dish for free. And when a lemon or lime is about to go hard, zest it and freeze the zest in a small pot, then juice it and freeze the juice in an ice cube tray. Now you've got fresh citrus zest and juice for months, ready to lift a fish dish, a dressing, or a cake. Lemons cost around 30p each and usually dry out before you use the second one. This way, not a drop is wasted. It's exactly the make do and mend spirit your gran lived by. Waste nothing, save everything. And number 1, do a fortnightly freezer inventory and shop your own freezer first. This is the trick that ties every other one together, and it's the one nobody does. Most of us keep buying while the freezer quietly fills with forgotten food. Then that food gets freezer burn and binned, and we've paid for it twice. So once a fortnight, before you write your shopping list, open the freezer and write down what's actually in there. Stick a list on the door and cross things off as you use them. Plan 2 or 3 dinners around what you already own before you spend a penny. Suddenly that batch bolognese, those frozen veg, that portioned mince all get eaten instead of buried. This single habit is how one weekly shop genuinely stretches to a fortnight, because half your meals are already bought, already cooked, already waiting. Your freezer isn't a graveyard. Used right, it's a second shop you've already paid for. So there it is, 25 tricks that turn a half-empty freezer and a sad fridge into a fortnight of dinners. Try just one this week: the milk, the tea towel salad, the batch bolognese, whichever. And tell me in the comments if your shop lasted longer. Your gran knew all this. Now you do too.